video is going to expose the hard truth. Fanservice in anime has a problem. After reaching extreme levels in the 2010s with shows like High School DxD to Love Ru and Prison School, well, it's hit a wall. Streaming platforms have strict guidelines, YouTube demonetizes anything remotely spicy, trust me on that, and global audiences have different expectations. The entire fanservice tradition is being forced to evolve or die. The anime I just mentioned pushed boundaries that newer anime aren't even touching. In fact, 2015 was statistically the peak year for ecchi content in anime history. However, this isn't the first time fanservice has transformed. Each era has solved different challenges through the strategic use of lewdness. Understanding this history reveals exactly where anime is headed next. And this video breaks down the complete evolution, where fanservice came from, how it exploded, and why it's now transforming into something totally different. Would you believe that the entire concept of fanservice in anime started because of a simple scheduling change? It's wild, but the billion-dollar industry of animated boobs and butts literally began with a network moving a show to a different time slot. Back in 1973, Cutie Honey was originally planned as a magical girl series targeting young female viewers. When the network unexpectedly shifted it to a time slot dominated by male audiences, creator Go Nagai faced a crucial decision. Like a spark hitting dry kindling, this scheduling shuffle ignited what would become an industry-wide phenomenon. Nagai's solution was bold. He added new transformation sequences for the main characters, and the boys absolutely loved it, and anime was forever changed. This approach was groundbreaking for the 70s. Fanservice wasn't even called that yet. It was simply this new element where anime occasionally featured nude silhouettes or quick bath scenes, just enough to keep teenage boys glued to their screens. By the early 80s, shows like Yurusei Yatsura expanded the playbook by introducing the now overused accidental pervert trope, where some hapless guy stumbles into some compromising situation with girls and then gets violently launched into the stratosphere. You know the one. Now, Japan's cultural attitudes played a huge role in how this all developed. Public bathing was completely normal there, and nudity didn't carry the same heavy taboo as in Western countries. So these early fanservice moments registered as playful rather than scandalous because of these cultural differences. Everything leveled up in the late 80s when Gainax entered the scene. In 1983, they created a promotional video for the Daikon 4 sci-fi convention that introduced the infamous Gainax Bounce, which is that physics-defying breast animation that's basically industry standard now. The crazy part is that it debuted in a convention promo, not even in an actual series. Early fanservice was primarily a marketing strategy. Studios realized they could sell way more VHS tapes and merch by including spicier content. TV ratings weren't enough, but throw in a beach episode or a hot spring scene and the collectors would line up to buy those tapes in the masses. Now, the 90s really changed the game for fanservice in anime. Did you know that Neon Genesis Evangelion, one of the most psychologically complex anime ever made, literally had episode previews promising more fanservice next episode? That's right, the show that made you question your existence and had you bawling your eyes out also made sure to let you know that there'd be some spicy content next week. This approach made fanservice self-aware in a way that we really hadn't seen before. What made this era so cool was how these shows juggled deep themes with spicier content. Again, Evangelion incorporated shower scenes to highlight the awkwardness of teenage sexuality. Remember the scene where Shinji accidentally falls onto a naked Rei? Yeah, super uncomfortable, but that was exactly the point. The show used fanservice as commentary while still giving viewers what they wanted. Now, the real explosion happened when DVD technology hit the market. Suddenly, studios could sell you two versions of the same show, the censored one you saw on TV and the real uncensored version that you could buy later. And shows like High School DxD made a killing on these uncensored releases, with DVD and Blu-ray sales significantly outperforming their TV counterparts. To be fair, TV broadcasts basically became commercials for the spicier product that you could buy later. So, as the market evolved, so did the tactics, pushing from provocative teasers to full-blown fan service spectacles. This technological shift cranked everything up to 11 in the early 2000s. We started seeing entire shows where fan service became the main attraction. Series like Iki Tozen and Queen's Blade, where they went all in, building their entire identities around the increasingly revealing content. The infamous Gainax bounce we talked about earlier, well, that became a required element for any show wanting to compete in this new landscape. These years really cemented all the tropes we now think of as standard anime fare. Beach episodes, hot spring scenes, accidental groping, boobs that somehow defy the law of physics, all that stuff became standard practice during this period. These were calculated decisions to boost sales and attract viewers, especially in shonen and harem genres. And the competition between studios got nuts, with each new season bringing shows that pushed boundaries even further than the last. The race to the bottom, or top depending on your preferences, was officially on. Now, the race to the bottom didn't just continue, it hit terminal velocity. The early 2010s weren't playing around with fan service anymore. We're talking about a time when Food Wars literally had characters orgasming from eating food. Yeah. But somehow this became totally normal prime television that millions of people watched with a straight face. And this era of fan service, well, it was just straight up wild. Shows like High School DxD built their entire identity around fan service. These shows explicitly market themselves on how much skin they could show while still claiming they weren't actually hentai. Every season pushed broadcast TV limits further and further. To Love-Ru Darkness also deserves a special mention here. This show invented new camera angles and mastered those strategic light beam censorship techniques. You know what I'm talking about. Magical rays of light appearing at exactly the right moment to keep the show on air. These techniques became the standard playbook for every ecchi show that followed. And other shows found creative ways to make fan service essential to their identity. Prison School used completely over-the-top reactions and absurd scenarios to highlight sexual tension. The exaggerated comedy made explicit content feel like part of the joke rather than without reason. And Food Wars, like we mentioned, might be the most brilliant innovation of all. The show transformed eating food into a sexual experience with those infamous foodgasm sequences. Like, fan service became baked into the very concept of the show. They turned a cooking competition into one of the most suggestive shows on TV, and critics actually praised it for being creative. Now, international streaming platforms changed everything. These boundary-pushing shows became instantly available worldwide. Services initially handled explicit content leniently, meaning shows restricted to late-night slots in Japan could stream anywhere internationally. By 2015, fan service reached its absolute peak, with more ecchi shows airing than any year before or since. But around 2016 to 2017, streaming platforms got way stricter about content policies. Shows that had been freely available suddenly found themselves censored or removed. The final straw was probably when Redo of Healer came out, featuring explicit scenes of sexual violence that crossed lines even within the already extreme ecchi genre. The massive backlash from this forced platforms to reevaluate their standards, triggering a censorship crackdown across all anime content. With platforms tightening their grip on explicit content, you'd think fan service was on its deathbed. But what if I told you it's actually evolving into something far more sophisticated? Yeah, fanservice didn't die after the crackdowns. It transformed into a masterful game of suggestion where what's left unsaid speaks volumes. Like, look at what's happening in modern anime. Mushoku Tensei brilliantly weaves explicit content into genuine character arcs and world building. Like, the show gets pretty spicy at times, but nobody calls it an ecchi anime. And that's because those moments actually mean something to the story. The fanservice reveals character vulnerabilities and motivations rather than existing as random eye candy. That's not to say that there aren't still modern anime out there with extreme ecchi themes. Just look at shows like Gushing Over Magical Girls, Temple, and the infamous My Life as an Ukai-san's Dog. However, in the 2020s, you see way less ecchi-focused anime being released compared to the 2010s. And that's because fanservice in anime has had to adapt to modern times. It's had to broaden its appeal beyond the traditional demographic, which has led some creators to elevate fanservice into actual artistic themes. Yes, fanservice is still there in a lot of anime, but it's not in your face like it was. It serves a purpose beyond showing off characters in revealing outfits and awkward situations. These changes happened because streaming platforms clamped down on explicit content, forcing creators to adapt. And adapt they have. They've gotten really creative with suggestion and character reactions. It's that classic horror movie technique of what you imagine can be way more powerful than what you can actually see. So modern anime uses these intimate moments for actual storytelling now. Fanservice scenes expose crucial character dynamics, while bathing scenes reveal relationships and vulnerabilities when characters let their guard down. And this evolution extends beyond traditional anime too. VTubers and digital waifu culture represent the next stage in fanservice's interactive evolution. These digital personas forge connection with fans that 2D characters never could, creating relationships that blur the line between fiction and reality. So where is fanservice headed next? Well, just like we've seen throughout this whole journey, it's about adapting. From innocent beginnings to today's sophisticated approach, fanservice has continuously evolved with the times. The smartest anime creators are already figuring out how to make it work in our current landscape, integrating sexy moments with humor, character development, and even social commentary. The future's about making fanservice purposeful, moments that enhance the story rather than interrupt it. We're seeing innovative approaches where steamy scenes serve the story and feel natural. As long as creativity drives anime, fanservice will find ingenious ways to evolve and surprise us. It has weathered 5 decades of changing tastes, technology, and global markets. But is it actually okay to like fanservice and these characters in the first place? Well, check out this video to see if your love for anime waifus is a healthy habit or an obsession destroying elements of your real life. I'll see you over there. Till then, take care. Peace, peace.